Firstly, good morning, everybody, and it's my first trip to Mumbai, and I'm very, very pleased to be here. So thank you very much for inviting me. It's a great honor and a massive privilege to be here today. My personal story is I've been in outdoor advertising for over 30 years, and during that time, I've seen a huge evolution from paper and paste billboards to backlights to large format, and obviously in the last 10 or so years, digital out of home. Back then, out of home was very much the poor relation to TV, press and radio. And that didn't sit very well with me because I always thought out of home should have been a lot more prevalent than it was. But back in those days, out of home was all about frequency and coverage. So basically, the more billboards, the merrier, which caused problems. There was street clutter, there was poor posting. You could only buy on a 2-weekly cycle because of the posting cycles. And there was a very, very basic audience measurement system in place. Basically, the only way to measure a billboard's effectiveness was by the amount of traffic going past it. There were lots of regional operators, and that was complicated, to say the least, which meant that there was very little proof of posting and audience research after the campaign went live. With the fragmentation of other media and the advent of satellite TV, commercial radio, it meant there was a lot more choice for the consumer, but it was harder for the advertiser to target the audience. It's at that time that out of home suddenly began to look interesting again as road traffic figures were going up and we had more of a captive audience. Now, I love change and I love disruption, and I've loved pioneering new formats over my career, from large format building wraps to over 15 years ago, pioneering digital out of home media in the UK. During that time, there's been a lot of difficult times along the way, but now digital out of home is definitely leading a renaissance of out of home, but still there's lots to do to make it a serious adversary to online. Today I come to you to help share my experiences in the hope that you can benefit from the many, many mistakes made in the early days, of which there were many. So let me talk to you about a case study which I think is very relevant. AdCity Media was born in Sweden, in Stockholm, just over 13 years ago. And back then, AdCity Media was a couple of guys with great ambitions, but very little resource. And they needed to find a way to actually conquer the Scandinavian market as quickly as possible. But they only had a few sites. And in those days, like many, many territories, certainly in India, there were lots of operators all working independently in their own individual silos. And that caused great problems for many people. The brands could not buy effective national campaigns. The buyers found it very, very complicated dealing with all these individual operators. And the operators, the media owners, were not getting the full value for their investments. So everybody's working independently, not for the greater good. So AdCity Media thought, well, okay, what we need to do is collaborate. We need to be sharing each other's screens and putting them under one umbrella so we can sell the entire portfolio to national brands more effectively and simpler and get more money for our assets. And that came down to Doohclick forming this situation whereby they could easily be sold to the media, to the specialists in a very effective, simple way. And that created much more value for the media owners. The buyers found it a lot more effective in terms of reporting, proof of play, and that led to AdCity Media taking over some of these companies and becoming the company that listed on the NASDAQ and then sold to Ocean Outdoor, my old company, shortly afterwards. So it was a great story and a great case study of what can be achieved through consolidation and using smart tech effectively. Being here in India and seeing all the amazing formats and incredible potential makes me feel slightly envious, if I'm honest with you. I'm a great believer that sometimes the journey can be more exciting than the destination. Presently, just 5% of out-of-home is digital in India. The rest is pretty much just classic. However, there's huge potential, as my previous speaker mentioned. And if, like the UK, we'll see a massive resurgence over the coming years. The good news is that classic and out-of-home and digital out-of-home are easy bedfellows, so they can work very well together. You don't have to make a choice between one or the other. The switch to smart ecosystems does not need to be complicated or create conflict. It can be a smooth, peaceful, and democratic revolution. We call it a DOOHVOLUTION, in fact. So, looking around here today, how many of you run your business on a spreadsheet? Hands up. Well, there you go. Why do we mustn't let our businesses depend on a spreadsheet? Legacy systems are time-consuming, boring, and outmoded. Media owners and operators need to build greater efficiencies in their businesses to deliver a competitive edge. The transition from out-of-home to digital out-of-home requires sales, planning, playing, analytics, and revenue sharing and reporting under one umbrella. Now, what's the opportunity? Well, as my previous speaker said, the opportunity is huge. Just how great is the market, and why is now such a great time to break into it? Industry forecasts show that other media channels are losing market share to digital out-of-home. In the UK, post-pandemic, not only have audiences come back, they're actually more than they were beforehand, which all means that now is the right time to optimize your assets and capitalize on your investment. The good news is that the cost of entry into out-of-home, digital out-of-home, is now more affordable than ever before, as hardware prices go down in price and are more affordable. But be warned, don't be tempted just on price. All screens are not the same, and the wrong investment can cost your business and reputation dearly. In the early days at Ocean, we bought a lot of screens based on the wrong formula, and we had to replace them much sooner than we thought. At the end of the day, the screen is your shop window, and with that screen not operating effectively, you have no business. So we have to invest in the best quality kit and ad management systems, and we also have to consider the entire supply chain. Sustainability is now not just a byword, it's now a very topical subject, and certainly in the UK, when people are buying campaigns, they're asking a lot about the sustainability of the campaign and the longevity, etc. So, in conclusion, there is little doubt that digital out-of-home is at a pivotal moment. Audiences are growing at scale, and integrated advertising is giving out-of-home a stronger presence on media plans. The goal, I guess, is relevant content on every screen at any given time, something that's made possible with dynamic pricing, share of voice-based slots, and the ability to connect more screens working with classic billboards under one single system. This means brands and retailers can select specific screens and slots, longer or shorter ads, choose the time of day, offer up a lunchtime or dining special, and access better rates or off-peak rates that smaller or less time-sensitive business may before or can afford. For consumers, the digital out-of-home experience is transformed and can be personalized, localized, be interactive, immersive, or just plain entertaining. And I think out-of-home media is probably the most entertaining media there is. Digital out-of-home's creative potential will continue to drive new ad revenue to the channel, so the more we talk about it, the better. We have to stop talking just about loops and slots. We need to start talking about dynamic share of voice and making sure that people's experiences are as seamless as possible. So why are we talking simply about loops and slots and not share of voice and time? This is the age of the attention economy. So how many of you talk in digital out of home, talk about loops rather than share of voice? In the UK, buying by cost per thousand is increasingly the norm. So we think it's time to kill the loop. We need a new way of thinking and a new common language. So guys, and I'm not just talking about India, I'm talking generically, we really need to sort ourselves out. Why are we not doing ourselves any favors? There's too much silos, fragmentation, confusion, chaos, and disparity in the marketplace. Every market, every region, many towns and cities talk in a different language, all about the same thing. If we're going to become a serious adversary to online, we need to have one voice and one language. The current out-of-home marketplace is one of confusion for advertisers. Even the way media owners and operators manage their companies is unnecessarily siloed. Workflows are not integrated or streamlined. The back office admin is too often burdensome and processes cumbersome. Buying digital online is simple. You can buy online the same way all over the world. It's done in one way. Why not digital out of home? Every big out-of-home operator in every market has a different way of doing things, from sales proposals to bookings to scheduling and reporting. This has to change. We need one voice. So let me give you an example on how to maximize the return on your investment. So here we have a screen in downtown Stockholm, one of the best prime areas there is, costing lots and lots of money, that everybody knows and wants to be part of. To gain maximum return on your investment, you need to make your assets work harder. So for example, by offering dynamic share of voice and not a loop, you can offer the property owner more, which means maybe he gets a part of that share of voice, which means he gives you better lease terms and more revenue. We want to keep the municipalities on side. Everybody I talk to all over the world, including here in India, all say the same thing. The local city councils, they're not interested. They don't want to know. Or if they do, they want to have more for their buck. They want to have part of it. They're getting greedy. Well, we can give them everything they want. There's plenty for everyone. And by giving them dynamic share of voice, they can have as much of a share as they want. So they're happy too. Clearly, you have a national sales team, and they will drive the major part of the revenue. But to maximize the revenue, we need to have localized advertising. So again, by using share of voice against a loop, you can actually maximize the digital media platform and create value for everyone. All achieved using quality hardware and smart tech. So what are the takeaways? Number one, don't go for the cheapest hardware and ensure a solid top quality internet connection. With programmatic coming down the line, this is more relevant than ever. Listen, we all know that shit happens occasionally. Nothing's perfect. So you have to hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So it's incredibly important that you have the strongest level of maintenance and backup should anything go wrong. So having strong service level agreements with your suppliers is absolutely critical. And obviously security is a big word. It's a no-no that nobody ever wants to talk about, but it's going to happen one day. So security is incredibly important. Invest in the absolute best and constantly monitor. Hackers would love to be on your screens. Now is the moment, so it's essential all data is interconnected and totally visible in real time. And when selling your inventory, be smart. Do not lock yourself into a loop. Maximize your assets, maximize your return on investment by going for dynamic scheduling, as this is the way forward. Number 5, change is good, but make it as painless as possible by preparing your organization, by planning early. Get your company match fit. So make sure you have the right personnel, the right recruitment, the right training, and the right tech before you go on the journey of digital out of home. Look, are you prepared to hug your competitors and make frenemies? Well, maybe not that, but I think we have to start thinking about collaboration and working more closely with our competitors on key accounts. This will not only please the buyers and the brands, but it can also help supercharge your business. It's a quantum leap, in fact, and it's been proven to work in other markets. Audience data is the key to everything. Without effective and quality audience data, you really have no business at all in digital out-of-home terms. So what audience measurement systems do you have? Audience data is all important. And clients, in my experience, are interrogating more and more as to how their campaigns are working and the effectiveness, and that's all down to audience data. So make sure you purchase and have access to the best quality audience data, because this will unlock the maximum growth potential. We need to be speaking in a common language. So let's avoid confusing the customer by talking about loops versus slots, billboards versus classic, impressions versus eyeballs, and loops versus share of voice. We need one language and one approach for one industry. We need to start thinking about, as I said, there's plenty for everyone, so let's be collaborative and give back to our communities. Think about the wider picture. Be prepared to share and be prepared to support our communities where you operate by working with your local authorities in a way that they see true value, not just financially, but through community messaging. And last of all, smart out-of-home businesses let their ad management system do all the heavy lifting. All the essential but mundane tasks can be automated, which means you free up your time and personnel to work smart and be more productive, growing the business. So my final question is, are you ready for the DOOHVOLUTION?